Hi, my name is Packy, creator of Pack Rat's Shack. I upcycle furniture, build out of pallet wood, finish interior spaces, and have a vendor booth for my creations. Welcome to my world. Today is finally my Shiplap delivery date. I have been waiting forever for this. First, it got canceled from Lowe's because when they were loading it to deliver, they found out that it was all black and moldy, and then they called me up and said, "We cannot deliver this product," and they sent me to another store that had enough on hand. So then I had to go through that store and set up delivery. Then it got postponed because of weather, and here we finally have it. But actually, then the delivery guy said, "This is only half of it. We'll deliver the next half out next Saturday," because when they were loading it, about half of it was black and moldy again. So this is a huge waste of supplies, which is why everything keeps getting so expensive. Things are done without thought. You store it in a tight, hot place. After it's been rained on or something, it's gonna go bad. Needless to say, it was an inconvenience that it has been postponed so much, but I am grateful that Lowe's actually looked at their product that they were about to deliver and made that judgment call, because that would have been even a bigger inconvenience. But I was all set to start this project over 2 weeks ago, so let's get started finally. At any rate, I just really need to get these inside before they get rained on. With that being said, there is still black mold on some of these planks, plus damage on the edges from the forklift or whatnot. I guess what I have to say here is I wonder how bad the rest of the planks are for them not to deliver them. While I'm using them, I'll just have to stack the most damaged ones aside and see how far this stack gets me. Okay, I got the whole pile of shiplap moved, and I hurried up, and when the delivery driver said they were about a half hour out, I started making some makeshift steps so I could get up and down. I got the whole stack of shiplap in before inclement weather set in, so I'm dripping in sweat, pretty tired. I think I'm gonna take a little break and eat something. Now with this project finally getting off its feet, there will be noticeable changes around here. I will say that before getting going on this project, I was tossing around ideas in my head on how to do this all by myself. And my ideas really did work. So I'm sure some pros out there who do this all of the time probably have a few other tricks up their sleeve. But I am pretty tickled with myself that I was able to figure out how to do it based off of just my own insight and hands-on, day by day adapting and making my ideas work out a little bit better each day. And it's my first shiplapping a ceiling job, so I'm really happy with myself. One thing I did that helped my day-by-day efficiency was I screwed in a little plastic box at the top of my ladder so I could put my small little tools right there, and that would save one trip up and down the ladder when I needed those small tools, when I remembered to keep them there. I just thought I'd show you here how I used wooden arms to screw into the trusses overhead to help hold the planks into place as I shifted along the whole length of the plank to line up the groove and click it down in there evenly. And then sometimes I'd have to go to the other end and then butt it down to make sure it was a tight joint. But sometimes by the time it was in the groove, it would slide back and forth a little bit more easily. And I have to work around the wiring hanging down for lighting, so that got a little tricky in places, and you just have to make sure that you keep those wires out of the way so that you don't accidentally nail right through them. Also, I'm making sure the wiring is out of the way when I'm going back and cutting my holes in for the lighting fixtures. Another thing is in the front of the ladder, there's all these different notches. And I noticed that my air hose would probably fit in there. But when I first tried to do it, it just didn't seem like it was sticking down in there. And so day one and part of day two, I was probably going up and down the ladder extra just to grab the nailer. And finally, I guess after, realizing my efficiency could be a wee bit better, then I decided to like shove it down in there and practice with the ladder to see if it would fall. I really wasn't trusting it, so I would put it in there while I was up there working, but I would still kind of bring it down. And then I would say by day 4, I was getting a little more comfortable with keeping it up there, but the problem is it was getting down in there okay, but coming back out was not working so smoothly. And I'm thinking probably by the last day it was kind of going in and coming back out real easy. So by the last day, my efficiency was up there. Isn't the actual time of putting one plank in crazy? Like, I had to live through this day in, day out, plank by plank for 7 days straight. I'm sorry, but I'm making you live through just one. This is one way I determined where I wanted my lighting fixtures to be. Using a line with the heavy anchor at the bottom helped me transfer my mark from the floor that I measured out on a flat surface on where I wanted my lighting to be up into the angle of the ceiling. So after I got my certain position from front to back of the house because of the angles, then I could use just simple measurements from the left to right of the house because those walls were straight. There probably is a mathematical equation to help me figure this out on the ceiling, but I really didn't want to take the time to teach that to myself when I could just visually figure it out based off of measurements I had taken on the floor. After I transferred my first mark, then I was able to get that measurement off of the angle and just transfer it onto each lighting that was in that same line. I was really hoping I would be further along in this section of the kitchen before the next Shiplap delivery arrived, but not the case. I just took way too much time figuring out my lighting locations. Stacking this delivery of shiplap under this location where I've just finished will keep them out of the way for the rest of the ceiling install. So here's my new stack of shiplap delivery, and here's what's left of the first original delivery. And this is what I've gotten completed so far. I do still have a long way to go. Now that that's all done, it's time to get back to measuring out the lighting locations. I made my decision on which plan I was gonna go with, which took a lot of time working out two different plans, but that way I'm making sure I'm coming up with what I feel is the best lighting scenario for our living needs. I wasn't really liking the pattern that I saw formulating when I was making sure that all of my joint cuts would end on a truss so that I could have that end nailed in to something solid. So I started just randomly cutting off the ends so that they would butt joint together even in the middle of some empty space, and therefore I would use the leftover pieces and make little backer blocks to glue in and nail into place to support those joints. That way I got a more random design and no pattern starting to form across the bigger space. That's the difference that I made going from mom's bathroom to the living space, because in mom's bathroom it's a small space, but that's where I saw the patterns starting to form. So in this bigger space, I just really didn't want that pattern to form because I thought it would have hit me in the face every time I walked in. But I would say that like every fourth row, I made sure that all of my cuts did end on a truss to make everything solid and not be an issue, but provide me that randomness that I wanted. Plus, this actually helped save a lot more material and equaled less waste at the end. It's about 6:45 and this is only about half of what I wanted to get done today. I was hoping that I would have made it all the way to the peak, but I took too much time stopping and measuring for where I wanted my light cutouts, and that took a lot of time. But I also had another delivery of the shiplap because only half of it, well, 3/4 of it got delivered the first day, so I had to haul all of that in as well, so that took up time from installing it. But I'm just beat. I want to mentally keep going, but physically, my shoulders, neck, and even my eyes are just done for the day. So, yep, cutting it a little short. So, Packy, I'm curious, as I'm sure all of your followers are as well, what was the most difficult part about putting all of this shiplap up yourself? It's unholstering this gun. It wasn't the running up and down the ladder a bazillion times for each single piece? No, because that's just great exercise that leads to weight loss. And you're saying it wasn't the fact that the tape measure kept going limp on you? It's unholstering this gun, I'm telling you. So let me get this straight. You're telling me that being on both ends of a 12-foot plank wasn't the problem?
No! It's unholstering this time!
Well, that says it. I hope all of you followers are amused. Kitchen half ceiling shiplap done. Mom's bathroom shiplap ceiling done. The closet still needs to get done, but I can't do that until I get the tub and everything out of the way, which will be after I drywall the bathroom. Then I'll get the tub over and put in place and plumbed. And then that'll open this space up and I can shiplap the ceiling there. And her bedroom ceiling shiplap is also complete now. After day 5 of consistently working on the shiplap, I have worked all the way through the first delivery of shiplap that was stacked here. These are pieces out of that stack that were bad, not only with black mold, but the moisture caused cracks or there was damage from forklift or whatnot. They're not really usable as complete pieces. Might be able to get smaller pieces out of them if I need to. Out of all of that I have used, this is what's left. This is my waste pile. These are pieces that can still get worked in. This is also the rest of the remnants of scrap that's left over after ripping them on the table saw. I would say that's less than 5% waste. So I really pride myself on not being wasteful and using things to the best possible usage I get out of them. While I was working on her ceiling yesterday, I did get into this stack. I probably used about 8 to 10 boards out of this stack. So you saw that I set aside all of the damaged planks from that original delivery. I decided that I could go ahead and successfully use them in the stairway since they were being cut down into such small sections. And then also I was even able to use some of those planks that had real bad damage from the forklift because that edge needed to be ripped off with the table saw anyway. So what do you think about all the shiplap ceilings? It really did make a huge difference in starting to make this space look like we're making progress in finishing it out. My shoulders and neck really did need a break around day 5. And the one unexpected thing that came along with all of this was I was able to handle it each and every day while I was working and just keep going through and continue to work. But at night when I was trying to sleep, my arms were going numb. That equaled not the best sleep. By the end of that week, I was really tired. Not necessarily because of the work, it was because of the lack of sleep. So through this video, I showed you each day that I was working on the shiplap, but I did try to show you different things that I had to do while installing the shiplap for each day. That way, hopefully it was a wee bit more interesting and didn't get too redundant, but it was a redundant project. Plank by plank by plank. And finally, we're done. I just didn't think you'd get the full effect of how much work really went into this ceiling if I didn't show you each and every day that I worked on it. So, I mean, I did shorten over 7.5 hours of footage to under 40 minutes for your viewing pleasure. Hopefully this video showed you some ideas on what you could do in order to get a project done by yourself as well. And I'm hoping there was at least 1 or 2 moments of some humor to encourage you all the way to the end of the video. As always, thanks for watching. I greatly appreciate your time and support. And as always, until next time, stay safe out there.